adversarial tone when hearing from those who come to share their concerns with us. As much as possible, I want to work with the public and all stakeholders, regardless of their viewpoints or the opinions that they hold. Every voice is important, and everyone has the right to be heard. I am here to listen to you. As the chair of a number of boards and committees, including Mississauga's Diversity and Inclusion Advisory Committee, I work hard to build consensus, and I have a collaborative approach to achieving our objectives together. I will bring that experience to this role as well. I like bringing people together. I work well with our new executive director and the staff in the board office, and I feel I have an excellent rapport with Chief Evans and her leadership team. And I look forward to a strong and positive relationship with the new representative of our union. I understand the rules of procedure, and I can lead a smooth and fair meeting for the board members and the public. One of my objectives as the chair heading into this year would be to provide an enhanced awareness of education for regional council members of the role that our board plays in terms of oversight of the police, of the Peel Regional Police. This past year, I have already vastly improved the communication between the board and the City of Mississauga councillors, and I hope to do that with Peel Region councillors as well. I am also looking forward to working through the recommendations that will come out of the diversity audit, as well as beginning the difficult challenge of replacing Chief Evans in the next year. I am committed to putting in the time and the effort that this role demands. Together with my executive assistant, David Rackman, who is here today, I will devote the time necessary to make sure that we advance this board the best we can. Thank you very much, and let's get on with the meeting. Pursuant to Section 28(2) of the Police Services Act, members of the board may also elect a vice chair at the first meeting of each year. And the vice chair shall act as the chair if the chair is absent or if the chair's position becomes vacant. I will now call for nominations for the position of vice chair. Councillor Dale?
Thank you, Councillor.
Sorry, I'm so used to you
I didn't
being
know I was promoted. I'd like to move Mrs. Norm Nicholson as vice chair.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Louise, thank you. Any other nominations? I see none. Could I have all those in favor, please? Thank you. That is carried. Congratulations, Norma. There be no further nominations received. The following motion is passed: that Norma Nicholson be elected to Vice Chair of the Regional Municipality of the Peel Regional Service Board for the year 2018. Could I have a mover for that, please? Chair Dale? Louise? Thank you. All those in favor? Consent. Thank you. I'd like to also acknowledge and welcome the new president of the Peel Regional Police Association, Mr. Adrian Woolley, and president of the Senior Officers Association, Staff Superintendent Randy Patrick. Before we begin today's meeting, I'd ask Chief Evans to share with us her good news story. Chief?
Well, good morning and welcome. I'm looking forward to working with you, Chair. And Chair Alwaya, thank you very much, or Mr. Alwaya, thank you very much for the last 2 years working together. I appreciate that. So, you know what? I did not bring a good news story. There has been so much going on in the last 2 days to prepare for this. I can tell you that there's been lots of good news stories. We were at the Crime Stoppers Gala last week, where Peel Police were recognized for their work with the Crime Stoppers program. And I can say that it was a well-attended event. Mr. Alawali and I were there, and we were recognized for all the Crime Stoppers tips, over 4,000 tips last year, solving many crimes. So we're still trying to promote Crime Stoppers on our website, and I'm encouraging others to use Crime Stoppers to help us keep a safer community. So I think that's the only thing I'll mention this morning.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Well, now, sorry.
I wonder if I could add a good news story.
Please.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to say thank you to Peel Regional Police for helping our animal services people this week. I know it's still being investigated, but we appreciate your help with the search and seizure of some snakes, some spiders, and an alligator. I know you deal with some pretty tough customers, but we appreciate the cooperation we had from Peel Regional Police. Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, I did question Deputy McCord on our attendance at that, because I read about that, and we were there for legitimate police reasons to assist and to say, so that I know that wasn't the first alligator we've actually assisted in seizing over the last several years in Peel, so hopefully that will be our last. Thank you.
Chair Dale?
Yeah, if I may, Madam Chair, first I'd like to congratulate you and congratulate Norma being elected chair and vice chair, but I'd also like to thank Amric, for serving as chair for the past 2 years. Certainly under your leadership, Amric, with the support of the board, we've made some very positive amendments to our policies and procedures. I believe we have better open communication between both the board and the community, which includes our budget process. And I also want to thank you for encouraging the equity audit, of which is being undertaken right now as we speak. But I'm also pleased today to have supported 2 of our female board members to serve for the next year anyways as chair and vice chair of this board, and look forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Dale. Emerick?
Thank you, Chair Dale, and thank you for your kind words, Chief. I just wanted to say that it has been an absolute highlight of my volunteer community service to be able to serve as chair for the last 2 years. The quality of my associates on the board is absolutely incredibly high, and this is a process, and I think we are quite a bit further than we were some time back because of the efforts of the board, along with the chief and your management team, in increasing the trust of public in the police and getting to know, putting them closer. So I think we as a board have taken some steps to do that. And I also echo the thoughts, and I welcome Adrian Woolley here, hello, to start developing, fostering a positive relationship. You have a very important role to play, and we respect that. And all I will say to you, Madam Chair, is that you can count on my 100% cooperation and support in doing the board work as we embark on the next, on the future. My enthusiasm to help the community and work with the board is not going to be diminished, and you can count on my 100% support in all the activities that we endeavor as a board. So thank you very much, and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? No? Are there any declarations of conflict of interest? Mayor Jeffrey?
Madam Chair, I wish to declare a conflict on item 25, which is in our in-camera on the IPRD item.
Thank you, so noted. Approval of the minutes of November 24th. Could I get a mover, please? Mayor Jeffrey, a seconder. Norman Nicholson, all those in favor? Carried. We'll now move over to the consent agenda. In accordance with the board's policy, we'll now move into the consent motion for the consent agenda. The consent agenda deals with items considered routine and non-confrontational. Do any members wish to remove any items from the consent? No?
I'm trying to recall a conversation we had with regards to the, in part of one of the board action items, number 8. Can I just ask, part of our conversation was about eliminating the volunteer agency registry, and I know something's coming back.
Excuse me, Mayor Jeffrey, on a point of order, would you like me to pull that out so that we can discuss it?
Okay, I don't know if I need to discuss it, but, oh, yes, that's probably better.
I'll pull it
Yeah,
out? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we're pulling out item 8 out of the consent agenda.
That was it.
So I will ask for, you'll move the balance? Okay, thank you, Chair Dale. And a seconder, Louise Mitchell. All those in favor? Carried. We'll now move into board questions and announcements. Are there any members that would like to announce anything at the board? No? I have a couple that I'd like to take the floor on, if you don't mind. The first is that this is actually the first meeting since the passing of Johnny Bauer, and that passed away on Boxing Day. And on behalf of the Peel Police Services Board, I'd like to send my heartfelt condolences to his family. Johnny was our first honorary police chief in over 40 years of history of the Peel Police. And God bless you and rest in peace. You will be missed. And I'd also like to take this opportunity to congratulate Rob and Joanna and Joey on the addition to their new family member. And my most sincere congratulations to you and your family. And thirdly, my condolences to Mayor Jeffrey on the passing of her father over the past week. We'll now move into deputations. The first deputation, I'm sorry, Mayor Jeff. Yep.
Just had a quick question. Can I ask whether or not Peel Regional Police is going to be appearing at the standing committee that the province has on the Police Services Act? The reason I ask is that yesterday at the Region of Peel, I suggested that the Region of Peel actually appear with regards to the community safety plan and the impact, the financial impact it was going to have on all three municipalities as well as the region. I know that there are concerns with the content of the act, and my concern is that if we don't appear and have an opinion, the province will think that the legislation is perfect. And I think it could use some tweaking. So my request is, if we're not, could we, should we? And my suggestion is, I think it would be wise to have an opinion on much of the work is going to have an impact on what we have to do, and a financial, and obviously for you, Chief, it's going to impact your ability to work the force properly.
Thank you, and I think that would be a great idea if representatives from the region went. I know the Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police are gathering a report together, and I believe they're going to present themselves representing Ontario police leaders. So I hadn't thought about going myself as unique. I've been representing as the police leaders of Ontario for the last 5 years, but I'm not part of the executive anymore. So that would be led by Chief Larkin from Waterloo Police.
I'm assuming you'd all speak with one voice.
That's correct. But
I'm just wondering if maybe there's an ability for the region and Peel Regional Police to do
I'd be more than happy.
joint effort
I'd be more
to
than happy
speak.
to have that conversation with somebody at the region, and then to Sharon and I can meet with them, and then we could talk about the
There's
strategy.
two dates for hearings that are coming up, and maybe our executive director can align that.
I'd welcome that. That'd be great.
All right, thank you. Thank you,
Rob?
Chair.
And I can add to that as well. The Ontario Association of Police Service Boards is also working on an analysis as well. The association itself has retained legal counsel to have an analysis of the legislation and impacts on police service boards. And I'm not sure what the discussions are with the chiefs of police and the police service boards, but I think it would be important once we have something back, Chief, that you and I work together on ensuring that both the police service and the board are aware of the messages that are being relayed back to the province.
Thank you for bringing that up, Mayor Jeffrey. We'll now move into deputations. A reminder that deputations will be limited to 5 minutes in accordance with the board's procedures policy. I will alert you, Ursula, when there is about a minute to go. Our first deputation is by Ursula Cooper Bennett from Mississauga Watch. Welcome back. I see you behind your camera there. I understand you'll be making a deputation via video today. As stated, the video cannot be longer than 5 minutes. Please proceed.
Hi, this video is, it's 5 minutes, it's organized that way, and it's primarily, you'll find it very content dense, in that there's a lot of information, and I would expect that a lot of people don't understand it, but if you viewed it slide at a time, it does make sense, and it's a historical record of Peel Police Street Check record retention schedule. Thank you so much.
Sorry, Paul, but just correct one. Just as a result of the news, just because of my old position, the retention schedule, this new retention schedule is going to address certain occurrences that will be disposed of, because there's actually a liability if we actually have occurrences longer than we should. The information is the bread and butter of all the policing occurrences, but we're recognizing now that we are to be held accountable, so that's why the new retention schedule is being brought in. Some occurrences will be destroyed after a certain amount of time.
Whereas the practice known as street checking/carding has been considered controversial and unfairly targeting ethnic minority communities, and whereas we must continuously review our policing methods to ensure that the rights and freedoms of all residents of Peel are respected, and therefore be it resolved that the board consult best practices regarding the retention of information on citizens.
I think it behooves us to look at some of the issues that have been raised, which is the retention of the documents. Therefore, be it resolved, the Peel Regional Police work closely with the Ministry of Community Safety and Correctional Services to fully disclose how the data is collected, how long it's retained.
This is a significant issue, and it's primarily focused at Black community and Black males in particular. We need to address this thing.
Establish clear guidelines for the gathering and retention of information. That was another very hot topic. How long is it kept?
My understanding is that it is there forever. So things like that has to go. I mean, it cannot be that you're going to keep my information on your system for as long as I live, and even after I'm dead and gone.
I know that the other chiefs are quite anxiously waiting. When we demonstrated our report last week to them, we showed it to them, and they're quite anxious for this to be shared with them, because they say a lot of them haven't even begun to understand the regulation, let alone move forward to how they're going to implement it before July 1st.
The aim of our policy committee is to develop some policies around the work that you will be doing, and we know that we need to have a draft ready by July the 1st. I can see Linda. Thank you. We are working on it.
And Madam Chair, I spoke to Ms. Wardlow yesterday with the fact that we would make ourselves available to look at the directive as well and assist with that process, so thank you.
I'm pretty confident we have such a wonderful chair of the policy committee that it will be done, no problem.
And is that true of the historical data?
So the regulation states that the documentation, the information would be restricted after 5 years. So currently, Peel Regional Police, we have committed to the board earlier this year that we would go back in time and we would restrict data. So we have been doing that since November 1st. So far, we have restricted over 24,000 documents, and we still have 74,469 street check records to restrict. We are in the process, and we will be compliant by December 31st. If you're January 1st, we will be compliant.
Just make a concluding comment based on the comment. So are there exceptions, Chief, where anyone else can access the data after 5 years?
Linda, do you want to assist with the
Well, the
regulation?
regulation speaks to it, so right now we have to be compliant with the regulations. So when we look to the board policy and we will listen to, what your direction will be, at the end of the day, it has to be compliant with the regulations. So we look forward to reviewing that with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I don't mean to take more time than needed, but it is a conversation that I think the board should have.
Absolutely, and we're going to do it, and the vice chair is spearheading this effort. And again, it's the regulation, the policy, the procedures, they all have to be in tandem.
We have been doing that since November 1st. So far, we have restricted over 24,000 documents.
And so when we look to the board policy and we will listen to, what your direction will be, at the end of the day, it has to be compliant with the regulations.
Summarized from the Peel Police Record Retention Schedule for PRP 17's page 100. Office of Primary Interest, Criminal Investigation Bureau. When charges laid, total, event plus 5 years, disposition method instructions, ERSH. When charges not laid, total, event plus 1 year, disposition method instructions, ERSH. ER means erase, and SH, shred. So you all did your best to keep hidden from the public that Peel Police street check forms and their related personal information were not supposed to be retained indefinitely, as Evans and Berkeley Brown claimed, but had a precise destruction schedule.
Good job. Just right at the 5-minute mark. Thank you very much, Ursula. Are there any questions or comments from members of the board? Seeing none, can I have a mover for the deputation receipt? Seconder? Louise, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Our last deputation today is by Joseph Kus. Is Mr. Kus in the audience? Wonderful. Welcome, Mr. Kus. You may proceed.
Thank you. Thanks for your attention. I'm here from a group called Stop Police Profiling, and I'm submitting a proposal to have police occurrence report records or reports retention periods reduced to 2 years in Peel for minor occurrences or he said, she said accusations, things like that. There are situations where doctors can falsely use Form 1s, and these days there are a lot of incompetent doctors, and this actually stigmatizes and aggravates people's conditions. So what I'm proposing is to have a 2-year maximum retention period, and that this be communicated through, and the people have to apply for this through some kind of a form. Minor matters, just verbal situations. What we don't want is criminalization of people with mental illnesses and disabilities. So basically this is a policy that's internal, I believe, and it should have, we don't want to be punishing people for indefinite periods of time based on situations with little evidence and with little and he said, she said type of situations. These things are increasing, and the problems associated with this will only increase and be a drag on the whole healthcare and law enforcement system. We have to watch out. There are rookie officers who, maybe 19-year-olds, who maybe don't treat, or who are learning the job and maybe don't have the maturity yet to handle certain situations. So we want to make sure we have a system that's positive for the future. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kus. We'll now move to receive the, are there any questions or comments? I'm sorry, Mayor Jeffrey? Mr. Kus, would you like to still sit down there just in case you want to answer? Thank you.
I'll take one or two.
I think you only have one or two, so that's good.
So, Mr. Kus, my name is Linda Jeffrey, and I just wanted to thank you for coming today. I know that it's challenging to appear before the board and to ask for something not only for yourself but for other people. And what I would say to you is I think that you bring an issue to this table that I was unaware of. And I think what we do at the City of Brampton is we usually don't make a decision without a staff report. So I'm going to be recommending today that our staff do a little bit of homework on this so that we have a better understanding of what you're suggesting happens. I'm unaware of how long records are retained or why. And I think the other thing that you bring this at a very inopportune time. One being, last week I read about what they're doing in Durham. And in Durham, they're putting together a committee with regards to mental health and working with external practitioners and people who have experienced mental health issues to participate in making the system better for all of us. And I think also yesterday, many of us who were at the Region Appeal had a presentation from some of our healthcare providers who are paramedics and talked about the challenge of dealing with their job every day and dealing with the mental health challenges there. But I think as somebody who sits on the Police Services Board, I have to think about the public and I have to think about the police officers. They're two separate audiences, and I want to make sure we get the relationship we have with the audience, with the public, in a better place so that you have confidence in the transparency and the accountability about how decisions are made and what happens with those records. So I know this is difficult. I thank you for coming, and we will have more information when the executive director is able to work with the chief to assemble some of the data that we've asked for, and we'll make sure you have that before we discuss it so that if you wish to come back afterwards, you have that opportunity, and I thank you for coming today. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Jeffrey. Are there any other comments from members of the board? Thank you very much. Mayor Jeffrey, will you receive the deputation? Seconder? Councillor, Chair Dale, sorry. All in favor? Carried. We'll now move on to other new business, and the first item will be number 8, which Mayor Jeffrey has asked to come forward.
So my question is, going back, the elimination of the volunteer agency registry. So my question is, there's a new process coming back. It's going to be enhanced online, is my recollection. Is that correct? And will we be making that available? Do you have that recollection, Chief?
So the new process is in place that we're now charging everyone for vulnerable. There is no longer, there was before a list of agencies that were getting it for free, and then there were a list of agencies trying to get onto that free list. Now we actually charge for these record searches to everyone. We are looking to create an online application system, which will still include a fee, but it would allow people to avoid coming into the police station to get in the line at our lobby to do this. They would be able to do it online. We're still working on that.
So I'm not sure the rest of the public knows about this. Is there an intention to do some communication about the new process?
Yes, Mayor, we will be doing a full communication strategy once we get to the point that we're ready to launch it. But there's a lot of work still has to go on.
Okay.
Because it's more complicated than just creating the method to be able to do it online. There's methods for payment and so that people can pay online,
Yeah.
and it's automatic. So there's a lot of work going into it, and it will take some time to be able to be completed.
I just wanted to make sure we had an intention to communicate.
We do. That'll
because
be
it's-
part of the strategy for the
because
launch.
That new strategy is catching people off guard. Is this the place, Madam Chair, to talk about the, with regards to the community events? Would this be the place to have that conversation?
Community events, I'm sorry.
And the changes that Councillor Carlson talked about yesterday at the Regent, or in a previous meeting?
That's paid duty.
Uh,
That's an in-camera item.
Is it okay?
So we'll do that in camera, Mayor Jeffrey.
I'm just saying that right now, the rules with regards to the event funding, is that in camera?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Thank you. Will you move number 8?
I will. Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
Louise, will you second? Thank you. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Moving to number 14, and that's the transfer of funds in Peel Regional Police custody and the Peel Regional Police Services Board. Chief, would you like to speak to this? 14?
The only thing I would add is that, and I think what's not mentioned in this report, is that these funds will be restricted for 7 years. I think that's one of the things that's important to know. So just in case someone does come forward in those 7 years' time. So that was one of the things that I just noticed after the board report had been submitted, that it's important to know that. So I was going to relay that to Rob. So that's probably the most important item to know, that the funds will be transferred, but there is a 7-year hold on those funds until allowing for people to come forward.
Great. Thank you, Chief. Any other questions? Chair Dale will move it. Emmerich will second. All in favor? Carried. Next on the other new business is item 15, consulting services for the security system deployment. Chief, do you have any comments or questions on this?
Subject to any questions from the board, they are aware we've been going through a security consultation process. Now we're to the implementation stage. We don't have the expertise on staff for the camera systems and everything else that they're looking towards, and we're looking to an outside vendor to help us with this.
Great. Are there any comments or questions from members of the board? You'll move it, Mayor Jeffrey, as seconder. Norma, thank you. All in favor? That's carried. Moving to item 16, and that's the computer-aided dispatch system licensing, maintenance, support, and professional services document. Chief, any?
No further comments other than to say computer-aided dispatch is allowing us to really itemize what officers are doing, how long they're spending on calls. So the new system we've implemented has been working well, and it's going to help us predict where calls for service will go in the future. Hopefully help us do that as well, so.
Wonderful.
I bring this for the approval.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from members of the board? Could I get a mover, please? Louise, seconder. Amarick, all those in favor? Thank you. That's carried. This concludes the public portion of the Peel Police Services Board meeting. We'll adjourn for 10 minutes and then move into camera. Thank you for all attending today.